What's going on, YouTube? It's James with Hammer Fantasy, and I got another what is wrong with the T9A OnG Goblin book, the T9A project. I am a huge believer on the T9A project. I want this game to succeed. I enjoyed the game that this was based off of, originally loosely based off of, but I enjoyed basically a lot what the T9A has brought to the table on this game. But there's a big problem with the OnG Goblin book, and I'm going to be as blunt as possible. Right now, it is basically a Goblin book, not an OnG Goblin book. I know Beard has said that numerous times to me, that he basically feels that it is drawing away from the book, that basically that we have two separate entities in this book that aren't really merging together. They're not working together. In all honesty, let's discuss this. Let's go about what the OnG Goblin book is, more or less. It should be this brute force of combat, close combat with orcs, followed by this cunning and mischievous and very tricky goblin unit. Now the goblins are playing that role perfectly. Almost all the goblins are playing that perfectly. You got cave goblins with the frickin' maggots. They release the maggots. It creates what is that called? Zone control. People are basically afraid of getting too close, because then the goblins may get maggots thrown on them. They got nets that basically lower strength, and then I feel like the common goblins have their tricks as well, with the shady gets and combat res, stuff like that. And there's good usage out of a lot of the goblin units, like the wolf riders. The spider riders are struggling a little bit. Of course, the gargantula, and of course the characters are doing great. I like the fact that they added poison onto close combat and range combat from the characters of the Forest Goblins. And one thing that has been carried over into this edition of the game that isn't really seeing much playtime is the Forest Goblins. And the Forest Goblins, I understand that, coming from, again, from Old Hammer, as it would be considered, basically Forest Goblins were models that were made that people would like to play with, but they aren't seeing the light of day currently. And one of the reasons for that is that they are vastly more points than the other two goblins I just mentioned. Now, all these goblins come in core. There's no goblins in special that aren't mounted or on something else, that like the Nashers or Nasher Herd or the Nasher Wrecking Team, Wolf Chariots, all that's in special, all that's in rare, and all that in the monster section. But the goblins in core are two of them are dominating, which are the ones with the cave goblins with the maggots and the common goblins. But the Forest Goblins, they don't have a role at all in the game currently. The only reason I like using them is for a mobile bunker, which honestly, most people who copy my list don't even include them. Okay, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, there's several things wrong with the Forest Goblins, and I still like to use them. I created some really cool samurai looking models based on them, and I'm a player that likes to play with. I like to give those oddball units a chance, and that's the kind of player I am. I want to see things work that were not supposed to work, and unfortunately, you're paying. And the other thing too is I actually made my core exactly 1125 with the Forest Goblins, but you're paying a hefty tax just to get poison in close combat. Okay, a hefty tax to get poison in close combat for a unit that's not even a close combat unit. Let that sink in. That's like paying extra points in ballistic skill for black orcs or iron orcs. It doesn't make sense. Okay, you're paying a hefty amount. Yeah, they're skirmishers, okay, but like let's think about this. Their weapon skill 2, their strength 3. They don't have a buttload of attacks. Okay, now that you're basically telling me the T9A project, the OnG Goblin book writers from before, not the current ones, but the ones who obviously have changed the rules to be the way they are telling me that we're paying a hell of a lot more points for Forest Goblins for a fluff piece because of their close combat capabilities, when in all fairness, let's think of this the most ideal setup, okay? Number one, you get a horde of like 50 of them, all right, with spears and green tide and Forest Goblin characters in there, okay? So if you take them with spears, all right, even if you got 50, all right, tell me any unit that won't shred the crap out of them. I mean, shred the crap out of them before you get to attack. Now, granted, let's just say in an ideal situation, you're fighting zombies, all right? Yes, you're gonna get 50 attacks, strength 3 onto zombies. Wow, you beat the crap out of some zombies. Good job, you dangerous Forest Goblin unit. But in the ideal situation, you're not fighting zombies. You're fighting freaking any unit with armor, or any unit that has. I mean, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Okay. And again, you're paying a hefty cost for the same thing you can get somewhere else for much cheaper, with fanatics, with shady gets, with, you know, extra things that actually do damage and protect, and you could get parry and stuff like that. It just doesn't work. Now, the skirmishing, I have a huge problem with the skirmishers. I have a huge problem. And again, this is really bad because I'm the guy who actually plays this unit, okay? But I'm the only guy who plays this unit of skirmishing Forest Goblins, and the number one reasons for that is, have you seen how big that tray is? Are you fucking kidding me? That tray is massive. Okay? Do you know why that tray is massive? Because the minimum body count for skirmishing Forest Goblins is 20, but the maximum count for skirmishing Forest Goblins is 20. So you have a minimum and a maximum of 20. You can only take 20 Forest Goblins, which means that the tray is going to be massive if you want to maximize the bow fire, okay, if you bought bows or tomahawks, all right? And not only that, tomahawks only have a 12-inch range anyways, and you're only getting strength 3 shooting anyways, all right? Back at version whatever it was, 0.99 I think it was, they used to have a banner that worked for Forest Goblins only that allowed them to get poison shooting or poison attacks. Ever since then, they took it out. Now, granted, that unit used to cost a lot cheaper then, and a lot of people abused it, including me, abused the fact that you're getting strength 3 poison shooting, which is awesome, because you know what? That gave them a role in their specific army book, okay? That gave them a role, okay? That gave them Monster Hunter, War Machine Hunter, Harasser unit. You know, you're going to get 40 tomahawks to the face, get like 5 poisons out, and then they charge at you. You're doing quick to fire, more poisons, all right? But now that is too game breaking in core. That is too game breaking to the point where you cannot take that skirmishing Forest Goblin unit that has a ginormous footprint, that panics to everything, that's leadership 6, all right? You cannot take it because of why? Because it's game breaking that you're gonna have poison strength 3 shooting? That makes no sense. That makes 0 sense. All right? And so their way of justifying it is that, you know what, oh, they wanted poison in that unit, but let's just give it to them in close combat because poison shooting is too hard, too far. Like, think about that. Nobody's gonna use this unit. I use it, again, I'm a fluff player. I want to see these units that suck do something. I want to see the book do something. I want this army to do good, and I really, obviously I'm passionate about it, but I want the army to actually have usable units. Back in the game that shall not be named, they used to have hatred against Empire. Where did that go? Who knows? I don't even know. Whatever happened to that? But they at the current moment, the only reason you take Forest Goblins is because you want tricks in the woods, and that is steadfast. In the woods. I mean, seriously, what would be the reason why you take a Forest Goblin unit? Let's look into that. The main reason why I take them, besides the mobile bunker, is sometimes I can make people, I can make them stubborn in the trees. But this goes back to what I was saying in my orc complaints, which was that minimum body count hurts. 20 Forest Goblins is a lot of goblins. And especially since your skirmishing unit has to be so big, it's a lot of goblins for no reason. It is extremely easy for me to get charged by somebody. It's extremely easy for me not to do a goddamn thing. And guess what? When you're ballistic skill 3 with no poison, strength 3, I honestly run around with that unit, shoot at something like a war machine or whatever, and even though I can march and shoot with it, I am probably putting out 1 wound a turn with that. And you could look at my battle reports. You could see how much damage the bushwhackers get. But to be honest with you, 100% honest with you, the bushwhackers usually get those points because the guy in that unit that I put in that unit has a skull splitter. All right. The main reason why I take my wizards as Forest Goblins is just so the fact that I don't take dangerous terrains when I play Phil Carl. That's simple. Okay? Is because I don't want to take DTs in the trees. I mean, there is nothing superb or superior about this Forest Goblin unit that you can't get in the other 2 Goblin units. And that's why you're not seeing them on the table. That's why they're a crap unit. I could go on and on about the wizards, about the Gargantula and all that, but I'm going to save that for a separate video. I'm actually going to go somewhere very soon. So I just wanted to kind of give my 2 cents on Forest Goblins alone right now. And we'll dive into the Gargantula, Spider Shrine, and the characters on the Spider in another video. But yeah, anyways. One thing that I have offered in my... it's a current post, actually. It's like from like maybe last week, which was... If you want to see these Forest Goblins have poison close combat and actually start to become a more of a threat of goblins for close combat, to see them have a role a little bit more, is if you want to keep them with close combat, give them paired weapons. It will give them a different role than the other 2 units, because the other 2 units don't have access to paired weapons. But as of right now, there is no role for Forest Goblins in the Goblin books, and it doesn't mean take them out by any means. I would love to see these guys have a good role. I would love for our book to be well-rounded, where not everybody's taking, and you could quote me on this, you could look it up yourself, you could do it yourself, but I would love to see a well-rounded book where everybody's not just taking 2 or 3 war machines, 2 spiders, a character on a wyvern, or a character on a chariot, or a character in a unit of black orcs. I would like to see a well-rounded book where you see every unit every time you play an orc and goblin player, you don't know what's coming to the table. You don't know if it's going to be chariots and giants, and you're not going to know if it's going to be mangler squigs. It's not going to be squig herds. You want to see where everything is being played, and if you don't know which goblin blocks are coming out, are they going to be forest goblins? Are they going to be cave goblins? Or are they going to be common goblins? You don't know if you're going to have to fight a giant Ed Basher unit and a bunch of regular. You want to be. I would love to see the book have several, like, not game breaking, but several lists out there that can be extremely competitive. Not 1 or 2, not a bow line, not a pyromancy line. The only reason Orc and Goblin book has a decent showing at ETC was because of pyromancy and shooting. All right, and it's not because strength 3 shooting is broken by any means, but it has the only synergy in the book, which is basically giving flaming swords to 100 bows and then let them fly. You know, and you're bound to kill something. But you know, it's not what the book should have been. It should not have been a gunline book. It should have a bunch of different units that could do something useful. So I say you give the Forest Goblins extra hand weapons. All right, you again. Stop with this minimum of 20 shit, all right? I mean, if you want to do minimum of 20, that's fine if you're going to go into, like, a block, but I'm saying if you want them to be skirmishers and give them the option of being skirmishers, I think that they should have a smaller minimum, so that way the footprint is a lot smaller. And what's wrong with if you have, you know, say 1 or 2 units of skirmishers with poison shooting, but keep the amount of bodies small? Again, it gives them a more dedicated role, or scout or ambush. I mean, I understand I'm saying a lot of things, and you guys are thinking, James is ridiculous. He wants scout, ambush, extra hand weapons, and poison shooting. This is a broken unit. Guys, it's not about taking every freaking thing I say seriously, it's about taking some of the things I say seriously and putting it into your freaking cogs and make you think and turn and make you want to use a unit and see that unit being used. All right, I want to see the goblins being used. I don't want to be the only guy using forest goblins just so I could keep a mobile bunker. All right, I want to see them have, purpose in the book. That's simple. All right. Anyways, so this is a shorter video. I want to hear your guys' feedback. All right. What do you think can help change and give the forest goblins a better usage in our book, in the goblin side of the orc and goblins? And honestly, 100% honest, what's wrong with the orc and goblin book is basically it is only a goblin dominant book at the moment. There's a big chunk missing from orcs, which is the close combat beast that it used to be. So we're gonna go over that in more videos coming up. But what do you think? I said extra hand weapons, maybe scout or ambush. That would change a lot of things. That would give you the tricksy side of goblins, and then not only that, if they have extra hand weapons, they're a little bit of better initiative, and they have more attacks that could actually potentially kill something instead of just getting your back rank wiped out. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. Would like to hear what you guys have to say, and yeah, I don't know. Should they get poison shooting back? And I know that most people think that's a big no. That's just like, no, don't do that. It was too broken. But was it really? Was it? If you priced it right, is having strength 3 tomahawks that game breaking? If you structured it right. I'll put it this way: Ed Bashers only have one of a kind. You can only take 2 spiders, and only one of them can have a web launcher. So what's so wrong with saying you could have 1 block of goblins that have poison shooting, or only a block of 10 that have poison shooting? It's I understand the one thing that people want to, the orc and goblin, or not only orc and goblin, but the T9A project wants to stop is auto includes. Is that really an auto include? If you could fix every unit in the book to be a better unit, what is an auto include? Because currently orcs aren't an auto include in their own book. And I'm gonna tell you right now, forest goblins are not an auto include. Okay, so instead of trying to nerf everything down to a power level where everything sucks, why don't you try to raise the bar a little bit and make things where everything is slightly better than what it is currently? And then all of a sudden things don't become auto include, things actually start to become better, and you have options, and you don't know where to put your points because everything you want is taken away from your total point cost. I would rather have that book. I had my current list that I'm making right now, or made right now, I had 300 points extra. Well, guess what? I couldn't add another goblin because I was capped at bow shots. I couldn't add more characters because I was capped at characters. And I couldn't add another monster because I was capped on monsters. So all of a sudden I'm looking at the special and I'm thinking, there's nothing in here I would like. What am I supposed to do with these points? Okay? That shouldn't be the option. The option should be like, I have so many things I would like to put in the list, I can't. And the other reason why I say that, yeah, I could put in chariots. Yeah, I love chariots. And to be honest, they were already in the list when I did that. But the reasoning for that is the synergy. If I wanted to have an aggressive close combat list, there's no synergy. If I want a shooting list, my points get split up a little bit differently, and there's still no synergy. There's one synergistic list, and that is pyromancy and bows. And it's not even that great. It's not. It did okay, but let's fix the book. Anyways, guys, this is my 3rd video. I got a bunch more I'm going to keep giving you guys. I'm sorry this is annoying some of the higher ups, but guess what, guys? I'm going to say what I have to say because I feel like somebody should. Alright? Anyways, guys, take care. I'm out of here. I got somewhere to go. Alright, peace.